What's the fastest car in Gran Turismo 7? My aim with this series is to find out. I'll focus mainly on road cars, each will be tested unmodified on comfort soft tyres, and again once fully upgraded, and a third time if it has an engine swap. I'm no pro, but I can usually do a lap without yeeting myself into a wall, so hopefully I can do each car justice. All cars are tested on a PS5 controller because I'm cheap, and they're all being driven with no driver assist except for ABS, which is set to low. The test track is the Nurburgring Sprint Course because it has a good mix of corners as well as some longer straights. Let's see today's contender. Since this is the first video, it's a bit different. Instead of testing one road car when stock and fully upgraded, I'll be testing a handful of race cars from different disciplines to start the leaderboard off and give us something to compare future cars to. First up is the Jaguar D-Type, a car that won the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1953, came second in 1954, and won again in 1955 after being partly involved in the worst crash in racing history that saw a rival Mercedes fly into the crowd, killing over 80 people and injuring over 100 more. Horror story aside, the car will give us a good comparison to some of the lower tier road cars, since it's on the same tyres. It's not the easiest car to drive with its skinny tyres and high power to weight ratio, but it's very fun once you get used to it. The Jag manages a 145.634, placing it in first. Unfortunately, that might be short-lived. Next up is the Corvette Group 3, which can be won by achieving all gold on the Rolling Stone Mission Challenges. It makes a great choice for balance of performance races like the later human comedy endurance missions, because the wide power band allows you to short shift and save fuel without losing any power. It's also very balanced in the Group 3 class when compared to the boat-like BMW M6 or the Audi R8 LMS, which sometimes just wants you dead. The Corvette achieves a 1 minute 27.968, beating the old Jag by nearly 20 seconds. This time will be a good target for a lot of the road cars once they've been upgraded. Next is the Alfa Romeo 155 V6 DTM race car. This legendary race car dominated the 1993 DTM season, with the top driver winning half of the races. With four-wheel drive and no torque, it's very easy to drive. It manages a 129.791, not far off the Corvette. The BMW McLaren F1 GTR is next. This car was modified extensively over the previous F1 GTR with a larger front splitter, extended long-tail bodywork for lower drag, even lower weight, and a new sequential gearbox. It achieved a class win and second overall at the 1997 24 Hours of Le Mans. Being a Group 2 car, it runs on racing medium tyres and has very high downforce, so it's very fast through the corners, though it can understeer a bit. It's good for 1 minute 21.234, which will be tough to beat. Going back a few years, we have the Ford Mark IV prototype race car from 1967. This was an evolution of the J car that killed Ken Miles, itself an evolution of the GT40 that won Le Mans in 1966. Like the previous GT40, it threw displacement at the problem, with a 7-litre V8 and won. The Mark IV only entered 2 races, the 12 Hours of Sebring and the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and won both. Unlike the GT40, this car was designed and built in the United States, making it the only truly all-American car to win Le Mans. It's one of my favourite race cars in Gran Turismo 7 and gets a time of 1 minute 30.339, almost beating the Alfa 155. Rally makes an appearance next with the Peugeot 205 Turbo 16 Evo 2. This monster won the 1986 World Rally Championship, the last time Group B would be run in the wake of the rival Lancia Delta S4 crashing at the Tour de Corse, killing its driver Henri Toivonen and his co-driver Sergio Cresto. Peugeot dominated the rest of the season, with Ford and Audi withdrawing from the championship. It's quite a mess to drive on its stock ride height, but despite that, it achieves a 1 minute 31.146. Next up is an oversized spoiler with some wheels attached, the Suzuki Escudo Pikes Peak. With nearly 1,000 horsepower and 4-wheel drive, it should easily top the board. It's very well known for not winning the Pikes Peak hill climb, but it's been featured in every main GT game since Gran Turismo 2 in 1999, where it was the most dominant car in the game. With the right setup, it's very overpowered in Gran Turismo 7 too, but out of the box, it wants to kill you. A time of 1 minute 21.655 leaves it just behind the McLaren F1. Moving to Group C, we have the Jaguar XJR-9, winner of the 1988 World Sports Car Championship as well as the 1988 24 Hours of Le Mans. Out of the box is the easiest Group C car to drive thanks to its massive 7-litre V12 with a wide power band, no turbo lag and widely spaced gears. I did test the Porsche 962C and a Nissan R92 CP as well, and both were quite a bit slower than the XJR-9. The Jag tops the board with a time of 1:19.601. Next we have the Chaparral 2J, a mobile refrigerator entered into the 1970 Can-Am Championship, where the scariest race cars ever designed were thrown around a track with careless disregard for human life. It features 2 cooling fans from a military tank engine, mated to a small 2-stroke engine to generate suction or ground effect. This produces downforce with no airflow over the car, meaning the 2J is very agile at low speeds. Coupled with its obscene 7.6-litre V8 and a long-legged 3-speed automatic gearbox, it's tricky but insanely capable. It easily walks over every other car today with a 1 minute 16.57. Even more impressive, this car is on racing hard tyres where the Group C cars and the McLaren F1 GTR were all on racing mediums. To try and beat it, the last car I tested was the McLaren MP4 raced by Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost. It won all but one race in the 1988 Formula 1 season with its 1.5-litre V6 turbo, where most of the field had switched to the naturally aspirated 3.5-litre formula mandated for the following year. Anyone who has tried to gold the master license with this car will likely maintain a passionate hatred for it, and I'm no different. The turbo lag makes this car very difficult to get right, especially on sharp corners, but with its stats you would expect it to beat the Chaparral, and you'd be wrong. I did several more laps than usual with this car, but still my best time was only a 1:17.753. Here's my basic leaderboard. It lists the car, its time, its power and weight, and the tyres it used on the end. As you can see, I tested the Porsche 962 and the Nissan R92 CP off camera, and they were an even match for the McLaren F1 GTR. I'm pretty sure a part of the reason the F1 GTR and the 2J are so fast is their quick shifting gearboxes. The Group C cars all have manual gearboxes, which does hurt their lap times. Now that we have a baseline for laps, future videos will cover one road car at a time, stock and tuned, like the intro mentions. I may do another race car video in the future too. So, that's the introduction to the new GT7 Fastest Lap series. I'll aim to upload a couple of videos a week. If you have any requests on cars you want to see sooner, please feel free to comment, and I'd very much appreciate your subscription. Thanks for watching. Ta-ra!